Hi, I'm KS Garner, and you're listening to the solonerdbirdpod podcast. Today, I'll be speaking with Dan Price, the creator, co-writer, and artist behind the comic series Bigfoot Knows Karate, here to promote the Hinagon one-shot along with chapters 1 and 2, launching on Kickstarter September 20th. Welcome, Dan.
Yes, thank you so much for having me tonight. I really appreciate it.
Well, no problem. Thank you for joining us today. But outside my introduction, who is Dan Price in his own words?
Oh my goodness. That is probably the toughest question I've been asked so far. I'm a 47-year-old nerd who loves making comic books and loves hanging out with his wife and kids. I mean, that's me in a nutshell. It's pretty much what you see is what you get. Wash and wear, fluff and fold, and that's pretty much, very, very simple. I'm a dreamer. I guess I haven't stopped doing that. I don't think I ever will. Um, and I'm probably the one of the most. I probably have one of the strongest work ethics of anybody you know. Like there's a, I will, I'm a workaholic. I will outwork you. You know what I mean? That's probably the best way to describe me in a nutshell. But you know, yeah, that's it. I don't know. I don't have too much else on that one.
Well, you say you have a strong work ethic and you're a dreamer. So how long have you been making comics? Like, I guess like
Sure.
doing comics and then being a professional in comics. Because it's like two different
Oh,
things.
okay. So I did my very first, to start it out, I mean, like I've been drawing since I was a kid. I started doing some work for a small indie publisher that was back in 1993, 94, outside of Houston. It was right after the Image boom with the seven creators starting their own thing, and I went and I was learning. I was just learning. I was soaking it up with a sponge, doing erasures over here and, doing, filling in blacks over there on the page and all of that stuff. Just learning. And they offered me my own book when I was a freshman in college. And unfortunately the company folded. So I never did get to do my book. And it took me until I was 18. Then it took me until I was like 30 to push out my very first comic. And I had forgotten about it and came back to it. I was like, I need to do this. It was one of those things I needed to do it before I died. I needed to make a comic book because I love the medium so much. And I did my very first work then. And I worked in comics for about 7 years doing indie books. Doing my title Latex Avenger. Then I did another thing for the Masters of the Obvious, and then did some work for the Stan Lee Foundation on an indie comic called Excelsior: The Uphill Adventures of a Boy Named Stanley. Um, when that was all done, took a break. I had just gotten married and some kids. My responsibilities had changed. So I took some time off and was raising a family and doing that whole thing. I was during the pandemic that during the lockdown that my wife said to me, "Why don't you do a comic again?" And that's where I'd been taking all these ideas that I'd been working on since 2018 for Bigfoot Knows Karate and started putting that into actual motion. Would hardly call myself professional in any way. I mean, I am. I mean, maybe like a really, really into it hobbyist is probably the best way I would put it because I have a full-time job. I'm a creative director for marketing and advertising group. And that is definitely that's in itself is a full-time job. And the amount of hours I put into the comic, I guess you could say that a really strong part-time job. It's just, I mean, but anything I make goes right back into the book. I mean, it's all about Bigfoot knows karate, getting more eyeballs on it, getting more talent involved with it. So that's pretty much me in comics on the high level.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of Bigfoot Knows Karate, what is it about for, I guess, people who've never heard of it before, and
Sure.
what should readers expect from the first two chapters in the one shot?
Think that people expect from the book is they hear the title Bigfoot Knows Karate and they immediately think that it's going to be Kung Fu Panda or something like that, that it's going to be a funny book. And it's not. I mean, it is. There's some funny jokes in the book. We have a character Kung Fu Thulu that he fights Bigfoot in the first issue. And so when you got a martial arts fighting Cthulhu and a martial arts fighting Bigfoot, that's going to make for some jokes, but it's really very much an action adventure psychological thriller. Godzilla versus Kong meets Kill Bill with a twist. That's how we like to think of it. And the Bigfoot, he's a very introspective character. He's very high, he's almost learned. He's experienced life. But if you were the only one of your kind and nobody knew you existed and nobody cared, what would that do to your psyche? That's a big thing for the story. And I really took a lot of time when I was conceiving the idea about what would it like to be a Bigfoot? Nobody sees you, nobody knows you. This is all it is. And then, so that's kind of stuff that we're playing with in the first issue. While you do have to smash them up between Bigfoot and versus Cthulhu, you also have this really cool narrative that's going on, and plot line that's going on as well. And we play with that if nobody knew you concept in the first one. Well, what if nobody knew you before that, and now everyone surrounding you is an enemy? That we put Bigfoot into a different situation there. First, issue one and issue two, it's just kind of issue one slides right into issue two, and we pick up the story from there. This is one larger arc, a 5-issue arc that we're working on. But we wanted to be able to show people a different side of the character, and there's so much history with the Bigfoot character, hence why we're doing Hinagon, this one shot that's in feudal Japan. Um, so what can you expect from the book? I don't think that people are expecting what they're going to get, and I think that based on what people have read, they're really happy with how it's turned out. I mean, we sold it like a smash 'em up, like it was just going to be a big, fist fight between Bigfoot and Cthulhu, and really brought in so much more into the story. The plot twist at the end, it usually grabs people pretty hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was reading the copies that you gave me and looking at the art style, and the first thing that caught my eye was, well, obviously, is that this is not Kung Fu Panda, like you said. People, that's what they think it is, initially. And it kind of reminded me, at least, what is it called? Like Samurai Jack, that old cartoon. It reminded me of that. And I love the art style of it. And
Thank
I
you.
you sent me, I guess it would be the trailer for the Kickstarter. It's like in black and white. I
Yeah.
really like the art style, and I was like, this would be really great because it looked like almost like an anime. I was like, are there any animes that are like in black and white? I think that would add on more intensity to it in a way,
Sure.
which is really great. So yeah, I really liked it. It's something that I wasn't expecting at all, which was a great surprise.
Hey, that's like the best thing I've heard all day. I mean, seriously, I bring a different sensibility to the art style. Well, first of all, let me just say this. Casey Allen is incredible. He's the co-writer on the main storyline and really took the helm on the Hinagon one shot. Um, he's everything to this book. He's incredible, and I'm so grateful for him. Adam's an interesting story because Adam came to us from a fan art perspective. We've received over 150 plus pieces of fan art for this project so far, and I'm blown away by that. I mean, that's what people take the time to do, out of their lives to draw your character. Are you kidding me? That's amazing. That's humbling. It's more than I would ever have expected to ever happen, And Adam came to us from a piece of fan art, he he mailed the artwork to my house, and it was like, what? That's crazy. And I said to him, I gave him my address. It's not like he stalked me on the web or something like that. And he said to me, I love what you're doing. I love this Bigfoot idea. I mean, anything I can do to help out. And I said to him, well, why don't I pay you for that artwork? We'll put it on our deluxe edition cover. The art's hanging right over there on my wall. If I can lean back to show you, but and he's just done. He did the cover of the deluxe edition of book one. He did the cover. It was a wraparound cover for book two, and now he's doing his very first interior artwork on a comic book. And so to be able to work with somebody who's never done this before and guide them along the way and watch them tear it up on their own accord, it's incredible. We just bring different sensibilities to the book. I mean, I am very color dependent. Adam's work does not need it. The detail work that he brings to it incredible. My work's a lot more grungy and fluid. It's fluid, has a lot more fluidity to it. So I think that, giving Adam this opportunity to shine in his natural habitat of black and white, I think is incredible. And I think it's going to bring something different to the story. Um, it's neat to do it's neat that we didn't do a carbon clone of my work, for the artist who was going to take on, this book. I'm glad it's somebody who's so the artwork style is so different from one from the other. And that, but we've been working with them on the cover. So it's cool. I mean, it's a really cool thing to see it all come together.
Uh-huh. So, you spoke of how you chose Adam Caswell, but how did you, I guess, not I wouldn't say subtle. How did you come about selecting and working with Casey Allen as well? Was there like a whole process of collaborators that you wanted to work with or that you were searching for, or did he kind of just fall into your lap like Adam did?
Okay, so Adam like fell into our lap.
Hmm.
Okay, Casey and I, that was that was years of knowing each other from a group called the Comic Jam. The Comic Jam is an online comic book workshop where writers and artists come together to do one-page comics, no more than 6 panels. The writers and artists vote nominate some categories. They vote on the category. Whatever that theme is what the writer has to write for that week. Those are randomly distributed to artists. And so I went on and drew probably 3 or 4 pieces for the jam. And Casey runs the jam, and we actually ended up getting paired together for a Steve Ditko tribute right after Steve Ditko passed away. Let me tell you, that guy wrote the most amazing, touching script about Steve Ditko, and I had the best time drawing it, and we just hit it off. We just hit it off. I mean, it was just DMing with each other on Instagram. Now we talk like 3 or 4 times a week on the phone. He has that time where between when I get off of work and he's walking his dogs, that we do a lot of writing over the telephone. And so when okay, so this was around 2018, I guess, when I met Casey online. And I had maybe before that, 2016, something like that. But I'd been working on the Bigfoot Knows Karate sketches. Like originally in like 2014, it was supposed to be a comedy. Didn't work. It was terrible. It was just a terrible comic. And so I shelved that and I came back to it in 2017, 2018. Casey's watching me on Instagram going, "What are you going to do with this Bigfoot Knows Karate thing?" Because then people are reacting to it. What do you think? And I said, "I've got an idea. It's not ready. I need to bake it a little bit longer." And, because I just didn't want to do this bright martial arts movie revenge story that we've seen so many times in the genre. I wanted it to be something different. I mean, there's a lot of Lost in the book, a lot of X-Files in the book, a lot of things you just wouldn't expect coming from a book about a Bigfoot that does karate. And I needed some time to work the idea out. So in case I offered to come on as editor, he's like, "Send me what you got." So I just dropped this Bible of crap on his lap, basically, and go, "Here you go. This is what I got." And so we started parsing through it and putting it together. I mean, this is for a 5 issue story. And we started pacing out the book together and it just became so natural working together that I said, "Do you want to co-write?" And he was taken aback by that at first, I think, because, writers don't often think about co-writing together in comics. But for me personally, like I work in like marketing and advertising, so I'm used to working in a team environment. So it does not hurt my sensibilities one bit whatsoever to, write with someone. In fact, I'm eager to do it because Casey comes from a background of, where, of writing different types of things. I've written comedy comics. I mean, it's all part jokes. You know what I mean? Like that's what I did in the past. And I wanted to do something big and cinematic and I mean, it wasn't a French movie, but I wanted to do something big and cinematic, and I wanted to do a larger arc, and I wanted it to be everything that what my previous work had not been. And to achieve that, the best move I could do was enlist somebody like Casey. And like we've just become such great friends in the process. I've known him 5 years now, at least, and I've never met him once. He lives in Alabama. I live in Austin, Texas, and but he's one of my good friends. I mean, I can easily say that he's one of my good friends. So really lucky to have him. Adam, same thing with Adam. I mean, it's just been incredible. And then, all the cover artists we've gotten to work with, and, people have done contributions in the back of the book. And damn, it's pretty good. You got to, I'm just really happy with how it's coming together.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have definitely achieved that cinematic tone that you wanted because um it it looks like, I mean, it's not like an animation, but as I said before, it could be like an anime if you really wanted it to be, just from the, because it looks like almost like a storyboard. Because okay, so I went to school for graphic design. You have to do thumbnails, right? So that even though the trailer is pretty much thumbnails or like a storyboard or whatever, how it's edited together kind of looks like an anime, almost like it's animated in a way. So what, just from the images alone, from what Adam has done and what you have done, gives it that cinematic feel. And then when you add in the text, what I liked about it is that it's not like crammed in there in a way, which a lot of people tend to do in their comics. They don't let the work or the scenery kind of work alongside with the text, but
Mhm.
you guys make that work in this, even with everything that's going on in the background, which I liked too. So it's like, in because I'm rambling, but I kind
Oh,
of
you're
like work,
great.
I like work in film, and as a writer myself, you know, I'm kind of like in the same boat with Casey. I don't really like collaborating with other people. I can be a team player. I just kind of don't like being a part of a group.
Sure.
Um, but I was co-writing a script, and um, as I was writing it, the other writer was like, I guess I put too much in it. I'm not allowing the scene to work work with what I'm writing. So it's like I can write this stuff, but you kind of have to let the scene speak for itself as well. Almost like, kind of like a Western, almost. It's like you have the stage directions, you have the script, but you kind of have to let the scene work for itself in a way, let it
Yeah.
speak for itself. So that's what I liked about Bigfoot Knows Karate. It's kind of like, yes, we have a little bit of script here and some dialogue and whatnot, a little bit of description, but the scene kind of like works for itself. So do you understand what I'm saying? I know I'm
I
rambling.
got you completely. No, I got you completely. Look, I look at comic books as like the most perfect storyboard for an animation. I mean, that's how it's a medium that allows you to do what you want to do on no budget. You know what I mean? You want big explosions like a Michael Bay movie or something like that. You can do that. You want crazy, noir like lighting and camera angles like you would get, in an old noir movie or Alfred Hitchcock. You can do that. You can do anything you want. And so that's the first thing on the storyboarding. Um, yeah, letting your artwork shine, not let the artwork shine, the story shine through the artwork. You know, Again, comics is a visual medium. The Our job is to show, not tell. There's moments in time in the comic where you have to drop some exposition, and I get that. But the more that you can let the page tell the story, and let the I'll put it like this. I love the show Seinfeld. I've loved it since I was, a long time. And it's what I love about it is, especially after, middle of the show, they really get into a groove where they get in on a joke, they cut out, and they go on to the next scene. And I kind of look at the comics the same way. Get in, hit your beat, get the story across, flip the page onto the next thing. Okay. We really try to hit those beats in the comic. And, those visual beats are really important, that your page flips are working properly and things like that. A lot of stuff that when we're reading these things, they take for granted. We take it for granted. But, just trying to allow the story to be told. I mean, I got a great compliment on issue one when somebody said to me, you could have left the words out and I would have gotten the story completely. I was like, that's like, as an artist and, and Casey, even as a writer, that's like some of the best compliments you can get because you know that you set the scene properly as a writer, and that your artist was able to, to execute what needed to be happen visually. That was a great feeling. Now, I don't think that's not bagging on our dialogue. I think the dialogue came out, really proud of both of the books, but really trying to tell, that story visually. That's so important. Adam, like I said, it's his first work. He's doing experimentation and doing things that I would never have thought of with, because I think coming in, completely green to the industry, you're not trying to fit into a mold that you would normally, that those of us who have, sorry, that have been following it and trying to be a part of it for so long, you feel like you've got to fit in somewhere. He's extrapolating panels and coming up with different ways to show the information, show the information, show the content off in a different way, and really show that story differently. Um, and so, and when that happens, you gotta flow like water, like Bruce Lee said. You gotta flow because when your artist brings something new to the table, you got to be able to roll with that. And as a writer myself, who's like I've been only the artist on a book, I've been only the writer on a book, and I've done where I've worked on both. I've co-written with people, that sort of thing. So I'm really comfortable with just like flowing with it, and we can change the dialogue up to match the page, and we can, or hell, we come up with some better dialogue after it's already been drawn. Let's just change it up. Let's just do what's going to flow best for the artwork and the story, and make the whole thing work properly. I just feel like there's no room to be rigid in this working in this medium at all.
Mm-hmm.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Um, but with all the influences that may have inspired Bigfoot Knows Karate, how do you maintain that this series is still your own?
Well, you mentioned Samurai Jack
Hmm.
earlier. That's a comment I hear a lot at conventions. I hear on shows. I'm not a Samurai Jack fan, so it's not that I don't like it. It's I have no exposure to it. I've seen it once, like 20 years ago, when my nephew was like a little kid. I watched like 15 minutes of it. It was beautiful, but it's not something that has influenced me. My influences, like I'll take Frank Miller as an example. The the giant, menacing figure, in Marv, it would be my Bigfoot. The inner monologue that Marv would have, that's definitely in with my Bigfoot. You know what I mean? But and I use Miller as the example because as far as I'm concerned, writer artist combo, just a straight up creator. Not the greatest writer, he's not the greatest artist, but that combination that he brings to the table for that really is amazing to me. Um, but I don't see, I'm somebody who really likes taking a couple of different things and smashing them together. I do, I like coming up with crazy characters. Um, you know, previous projects. I mean, I had a character named Dr. Biclops. He had two eyes. That was his whole powers. He had two eyes. I love weird things. I love strange ideas. I mean, the Visible Woman. You can't miss her. That's her whole power. She's visible. So, um, so the thing about it is that I don't know from a comic book standpoint, or even movie or film, I don't want to play video games, but like movies, TV, I don't know where I was influenced by from a character perspective by anything else other than just trying to come up with something different and unique. But I mentioned, Godzilla versus Kong and Kill Bill, um, Lost, and the storytelling style of Lost. I can really appreciate that. The ending fell apart, but those first couple of seasons, they told that story so beautifully. They executed it so gorgeously, giving you question after question and just trickling the answers to you to keep you watching. That's something that I'm really into as a writer. I think that's for Bigfoot knows karate, especially. Um, so it's more things like that that influenced me more than like, oh, this comic book here grabbed my attention. I want to take a piece of this and a piece of that. It's more cinema that, and TV that, influenced what the storyline was going to be rather than comic books. So, go ahead.
Well, sorry. What I was just gonna say is it kind of sounds like how I'm inspired to write stuff is exploration and like where can we go with this? So like Bigfoot being this cryptid, being the only one of its kind that's left, and you're kind of exploring that almost like a hermit lifestyle. And then you add in the history and the culture of karate and martial arts, mixing that together. Like, how did he learn how to do this? And, what does he do with it when he does maybe encounter other people or adversaries? It's kind of like a what if type of thing. Like, you didn't go the comedy route, or you kind of did with it, and that didn't work. So you went more of the intense, serious route with it. So, like, what does that look like when you explore this cryptid in a way that is not in the same way as everybody else? Like for me, when I write stuff, I'm kind of like, well, what does that look like if I do it like this instead of like that in a way? Does that make sense?
Sure. I mean, it's a lot of, when they say writers should write what they know. I think
Mm.
that's good up to a point. But at some point, you got to write something you don't know to push yourself as a writer. And I looked at tropes in comics. Okay, like everybody, there's certain things in comics that are just definite. And and storylines that we've seen written and rewritten and rehashed under different character names and different companies, and we've seen it. We've just seen it. Um, I've been told that there's nothing original anymore. Like that's all been created. There's nothing new left. Yeah, I don't think they're trying hard enough.
Mhm.
People have said, I just don't think they're trying hard enough. I mean, is there going to be tropes in this book that are similar uh, to things that have happened? Yes. Yes, of course, there's going to be similar heroes. There's a hero's journey in here. You can't, there are certain definitive things that have to happen in that journey in order to get to an ending that makes sense and is satisfying. You know what I'm saying? And so, really trying to bring in, that, like I said, action, adventure, and psychological thriller. I really want this story to be intense enough and that, you're sitting on the edge of your seat as you're reading it, but um have enough pathos, and for the character, you know what I mean? For the main character. This character is so interesting and unique to me.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, yes, he's the big, strong, silent type, so you get that trope in there. You know what I'm saying? But so introspective, so curious of the world, so not trusting of the world. And there's a character that he comes across at the end of issue two that small connection happens. That's all I'm going to say about it. Not in a romantic way, but when you just lock eyes on somebody, this person's going to be special to me in some way, shape, or form. That's what happened. And so, if Bigfoot was an onion, I mean, we're just peeling the layers back, just peeling those layers back, and really trying to get to the root of who this is. Whether we figure out how he knows karate or not is in this first arc is beside the point. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? Like, there's so much more, and we're gonna get there. I was in a podcast recently with somebody who was just asking me, "So, how does he know karate?" I'm like, "Yeah," and I went danced around the question for a little bit and said, "You have to keep reading." And he goes, "Yeah, but I really want to know how he knows that karate." And I'm like, it was so funny to me. Um, it's a snappy title, but there's just so much more happening. Yeah, that's that. There's just so much happening.
Mm-hmm. Well, you did say it was 5 issue arc, so you just gonna have to keep reading to find out how did he know karate, which is good. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, so what advice could you offer to other creators that you wish someone would have told you when you first started? So, it could be, you were supposed to do your own book, you know, when you were 18 and it kind of fell through, and then you had to, you went on and lived your life, and then you came back to it, and then, you had an idea, but it kind of didn't work out, or, you know, you come from a very collaborative environment to working with people who
Mhm.
aren't really collaborators. So, or maybe I don't know how many Kickstarters you've done before, like, any advice on Kickstarters, just any advice that like, hey, I wish someone would have told me this when I first started it.
First thing that I wish somebody had told me before I started it is do not letter your pages at 11 by 17. Do not letter your pages at 11 by 17. Your words will be this teeny when you go to print your book. So whoever didn't tell me that, thank you very much. That would be number one. Number two, the hard part about comics is not writing them or drawing them, it's marketing. Okay, if you want to make comics just for your own enjoyment, awesome. And personally, I hate working in a vacuum. Okay, I do thrive on people's reactions to the book, whether it's good or bad or indifferent. Well, good or bad, I don't like indifferent. But whether it's good or bad, I want to know. I want to know. I want to know what's working, what isn't working. I mean, we're not spoon feeding you story. We're making you work for it, and the readers who can get behind that, I really appreciate them, because we're not just giving you an origin and going from there. This is one of my favorite things about Wolverine for the longest time is you didn't know his origin. Once you knew his origin, to me, it just was the character lacked something after that. Writing your comic, if you're going to write a long arc, pace that thing out to where it's going to be interesting. If I kind of, I've heard so many people. I got an idea for a comic. It's gonna be 35 issues, and they go on about this whole universe and stuff. Make it interesting. That's the biggest thing. Get people to read your story before you start drawing it. Get some feedback on the story. You want to make, especially for your first time. Start something small. Go to the comic jam like I did. When I was trying to get back into doing comics. I mean, it was a brilliant way to start back at it, which led for work for me from other titles, then rolled into me doing Bigfoot. So that's another thing. I'll go back to lettering for a second too. Again, lettering is so important and people don't realize it. A good book with a good lettering, you'll never even notice it. It'll just flow with the book. Bad lettering will ruin your comic. Okay, so that's like it's just a big thing. Do not be scared to put yourself out there. Do not be scared to interact with your audience. I do a lot of Instagram live draws, and that's been very helpful to me reaching an audience for the comic. If you're doing a Kickstarter, start planning that thing out 8 months ahead. Know where you're going, know how you're going to get an audience from that, to that property. Do a lot of podcasts. I mean, we do tons of them. Getting ready for a campaign. This will be my third Kickstarter, starting tomorrow, and I mean, we do a lot of things like Instagram live launch parties to hopefully get people to, watch the campaign go live and hang out. And like tomorrow, we're going to be giving away prize packs, and we're going to be announcing the winner of our Draw This in Your Style contest. And we're going to have a lot of different creators come in and out of the live that night. So we can get as many people possible to come out and check out the comic. So those are some pieces of advice that I would give out to somebody. And if you have any other questions, yeah, email me, danprice139@gmail.com. I'll answer your question. I'm happy to do so.
Sweet. So outside of working on the series Bigfoot Knows Karate, how well do you find balance for your life? And how do you typically manage your mental well-being when you become stressed, frustrated, or overwhelmed?
So, repeat the first part for me real quick.
Sure. So how well do you find balance for your life outside of working on the series?
So, my day job it takes up a lot of time, and it takes me out of town a lot, sometimes out of country. To give you an example, I just got done doing 2 weeks in Europe for my job, and then coming home, getting a day and a half at home, and flying out to Baltimore Comic Con. So I was essentially gone for like 3 weeks. Balancing that with my family means when I come home, spend some time with family. I mean, that's like rule number, that's what I want to do, and that's what I need to do all at the same time. I mean, but we came into, right now, my family's being way patient with me because it's not only like I'm in production mode at work right now. I have the campaign going this week, a lot of podcasts, so like, luckily I have a team of people with me, in Casey and Adam, and so they're handling podcasts as well. So it allows me to have time with my wife on her birthday on Sunday, and things like that. So really lucky to be surrounded by people I can count on for that type of thing. Um, the mental health thing, that's a really great question. So I'm bipolar. I have been diagnosed bipolar since I was about 23, and I'm 47 now. So I've been dealing with this for a good amount of time. Um, the Sometimes this gets overwhelming. As a creator, it gets overwhelming. Life gets overwhelming. And, so when stress hits me, it hits me differently than it does a lot of other people. Other bipolars and other people who you know, have things like that. They can understand where I'm coming from. But, the key for it for me is good sleep, health food, or at least eating. I mean, because you can't burn through a whole day and not eat because you're so busy. Making sure that I eat breakfast, I eat lunch, I eat dinner. Sleeping well. That's like such a big part of this. I mean, those three things: good food, good sleep, low stress. If I can do those things, then I can pretty much handle anything.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't get to control your stress all the time. So, write a list, start scratching things out of your list. Once you see some results starting to happen there, your stress levels will go down. Like I thoroughly believe that. So take some time for yourself. I mean, I mean, like I can just go play tug of war with my dog, on the rope for a while and, get some energy out. She's happy. The dog loves it, and then, you just feel a little bit more ready to go back to the table and start drawing again. Um, find your joys where you can find them. The rule my wife and I have with comics is that it's only fun. I can only do them as long as I'm having fun. And I remind myself of that constantly. I start to get a little down or I start to feel a little defeated or overly stressed. It's supposed to be a good time. I'm not trying to make a living doing this. It's something that I love. And, one day if we could get Bigfoot Knows Karate adapted into a animation, I'd be thrilled. That's the dream, right? Um, but under the right circumstances, I mean, I'm no AI, no, I mean, let's don't forget the people who create these types of things and write these types of things and produce these types of things. Hollywood strike right now sucks, but man, I know why they're standing up and doing the right thing for that. So I'm patient, let them get everything sorted out they need where they need to be because I wouldn't cross the line. I can tell you that right now. You know what I'm saying? And I love I love the idea of getting this to animation to a streaming platform or something like that. That would be incredible. But in the meantime, I'm just going to enjoy what we're doing because the road so far that we're traveling has been a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I've been learning how to deal with my stress too. Like, um, I kind of operate really well in chaos, especially when I'm writing. I don't like writing when it's quiet. I was writing when I was gaming with my friends at the table at the same time because it's like there's a lot of downtime because like my character is not interacting with them. So I'm just writing, and I'm like writing more when I'm with them than I would at home because of the noise, because of the chaos. So, I'm kind of embracing it instead of trying to, stay away from it. And I've also learned that I take on a lot of stuff. I don't know, maybe it's because I'm an artist, or maybe it's just the life, living in a capitalist society that you feel like you have to be productive all the time. But I feel like I limit my day to three things. And after those three things, there's nothing else for me to do just to force myself to slow down. So yeah, that's how I'm kind of learning how to manage my stress, or like when I become overwhelmed, because I become overwhelmed a lot as well. But I feel like, as I said before, um I guess that comes with the productivity in a way. But when you have too much going on, that's when you have all the stress and you're frustrated and all that stuff. So like I said, I just had to kind of force myself to slow down by doing those things.
We're artists, I mean, you said it yourself. We're artists,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's something about the creative process that's so damn enjoyable,
Uh-huh.
that I mean, and then people come to you, hey, I have this idea, like recently I had somebody come up to me, they do animation and they want to do a sizzle reel for Bigfoot. I haven't told Casey about this yet. And it was like, and I was like, that's so cool. Oh, good. One more thing. You know what I mean? It was like one more thing to be involved in. And it's like, I have to stop myself a lot of the time from taking on things because, you know, for me, chapter 3 of Bigfoot is like the most important thing. We got Hinagon going on right now, but I'm working on chapter 3. And then when I'm done with 3, then it'll be 4, and then it'll be 5. That's the most important thing for me. I have project that's been burning a hole in my pocket for years that I can't wait to get to, but it has to keep. It has to keep until this project is seen to the end, and then I can go play with those toys. Um, I'm doing a cover for somebody right now. I don't have time to do a cover. You know what I mean? But I'm doing the cover because A, I like the creator, and B, it's going to be a lot of fun. You know what I'm saying? And but I mean, if I was using my head, I would be like, I can't do that. But you want to help. Look, the community, the indie comics community has been so good to me. So good to Casey, so good to Bigfoot. I mean, you want to give back, you want to help out, you want to do those types of things for people because look at all the kindness we've received, whether it's the fan art or people just wanting to get involved. You know what I'm saying? It's so trying to balance it all out. Like I wish I had time to draw 150 pieces of fan art from 150 different creators. You know what I mean? But I don't. And so it's like that bums me out. You have to put your priorities in line and get your books out and that sort of thing. Because if I know I'd hear it from somebody eventually, hey, when's the next book coming out? Damn it, hurry up. I need this, 'cause I hear that a lot already. And I'm working as fast as I can, guys. I swear to God. So anyway,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, no,
People ask me that too.
so
They're like,
yeah, you do feel like you have to keep going. You have to, in this society that we live in, you have to keep adding on new things and constantly, multitasking your way through all of it. I mean, because we're not just artists when we're making comics. We're also we're marketeers, we're sales, we're everything that goes along with it. The stuff that we want to do, and frankly, the stuff we don't want to do, it all rests on our shoulders. And so I try and bring in people to help me out with that sort of thing, like Jeff Haas, who helps to schedule all the podcasts and that sort of thing. He helps with the press release and all that stuff. Like we need him. I can't do it all. Even though I've done work for a PR firm in the past, I don't have time to do it all. So you gotta delegate out things and you gotta find people to partner with and in order to make your dreams come true, in order to make their dreams come true too. I mean, it goes back to that thing that you guys said at the beginning. Yeah, it's all because of the dream.
mm-hmm.
I'm a dreamer. That's what I've always been, and I'm going to keep pushing forward. I can see myself at 70 still doing this. Oh my God, I'm crazy. But anyway, yeah, there you go.
All right. So, back to the Kickstarter. Is there anything that you wanted to touch on about the Kickstarter as a whole? Do you know of any of the rewards for potential backers or anything like that? Because as we're recording this, it's not up, but it will be up tomorrow. But the
Tomorrow, yeah.
episode is airing in the week, so yeah.
Well, a few days ago we launched Kickstarter, and so no, but there's some great tiers. Um, Unfortunately, this will air after our early bird specials have already happened, but those tiers are also available in the regular tiers. We've got a beautiful. Well, first of all, we're doing digital editions of the book for $4. So for Hinagon, $4, and so that's a great deal, no matter how you cut it. We're really trying to make this as cost effective as for people as possible. We're doing a black and white book. There's no reason to charge color pages money. You know what I mean? We're getting a break. We're going to give a break to our people. So $4 for the digital, $8 for the print version of the book. And that covers done by Adam Caswell with art by Luis Tomas. Absolutely gorgeous pairing on that. Here, I took this with me to Baltimore, so you can see that. Anyway, it's just beautiful
Yeah.
work. So and then we also have a deluxe edition of the comic that is our regular story plus an art gallery that goes in the back, plus a director's commentary uh, QR code. You click on the QR code, it brings up a YouTube video where myself, Casey, and Adam, and a few other folks will talk about the book at length. And so you can hear all the reasons why we did what we did, where we're going, what we have plans for the future. We've done the director's commentary on the deluxe editions of 1 and 2. Those were a big success. So we're excited to do that. So the deluxe edition, the covers by a gentleman by the name of Andy Bloor out of London, or not London, out of England. Really great artist. And then my good friend Dennis Valencia has done the artwork for a deluxe foil edition, and which is absolutely gorgeous. Valencia knocked it out of the park one more time with this piece. So really lucky to have all of those covers on the project. And we brought something different to the table as well. We've been asked for sketch covers for a while, so we finally got sketch covers. There'll be a blank 2-pack that you can get, or you can get Adam to do a sketch cover for you, get a commission for that, but that's limited to 8 slots. So that's something to think about there. But we do have combo packages, catch-up tiers where you can get issues 1 and 2. So a lot of different options there. I'm going to grab a visual aid real quick for the final tier, but something that I picked up a while back for conventions was something that, I wanted something that could be interactive for people. They can get a photo taken with them, that sort of thing. So I had a Bigfoot Nose Karate Championship belt made
Oh,
a while
cool.
back. Yeah, it's pretty rad. So, so we've got the championship belt here. And so for our last tier in the campaign, you can get the belt. So not this copy, I'll get another one made for them, but I'll sign the belt for them. They get all the comics, and all the goodies to go along with it. So that's our monster tier, the championship tier that we're doing this campaign. So we're really trying to do, stuff for low price points, but also if you want to go crazy, we have a go crazy tier as well. So yeah. Oh, and one more thing. We also have a lesser known comics tier. I'm Big Fitness Karate is published by Lesser Known Comics, and so there is a like a starter pack, lesser known starter pack. You get all the Bigfoot Knows Karate books, chapter 1, chapter 2, and all the Hinagon covers, as well as 9 or 10 different lesser known titles in there as well. So there is that one big pack as well that you can get your hands on. So some really cool stuff.
Okay. Yeah. So, are there any other cons that you're attending this year? I know you said you just came back from Baltimore Comic Con, which I actually missed you guys at because
Oh,
I'm from Baltimore. So,
oh,
yeah, I was like, damn, if had I gone, we could have did this interview a week early. But yeah, I had actually met Mark for the first time in person there. I saw him on Sunday, even though I have been working the con, selling my own stuff, he was literally on the other side of me, but I never knew he was there until I had time to walk around on Sunday. So yeah, sorry I missed you guys. But are you doing any
Oh, I
more?
was I just had to cancel a con for the end of the month. Unfortunately, I got some family things that I need to take care of that weekend. So my last con for the year will actually be December 2nd and 3rd. I'm doing Horror for the Holidays, which is a horror show here in Austin. I figure I'd give that a shot, and that'll be a lot of fun. And I'm just trying to get my 2024 schedule put together right now. Um, Hopefully, I'll be in Baltimore again. I'm trying to get over to C2E2 and Emerald City this year, as well as Heroes Con. Those are the ones I've got in my eyesight. Oh, and Comic Palooza in Houston, I always do that one as well. But and a couple of indie shows that I'm looking at as well. So, and hopefully, I mean, I've got plans for a few of them, but I'm just wrapping up with Horror for the Holidays this December. So, hopefully, get some store signings going, that kind of thing, while it's quiet in the wintertime.
Mm-hmm. And where can people find you online? You already gave your email out, but you also said you did lives on social media. So where can they find you?
Yeah, the best place to get to me is bigfootnose.com. It's got links to my uh, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, but all my handles all the same across the board. It's Danomite139, DANOMYTE139. That's for Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, Reds, all that stuff. Danomite139, but you can also find me at bigfootnoskarate.com or definitely at lesserknowncomics.com. And there's a link on all of those sites and pages to go to the Hinagon Kickstarter sign up or Kickstarter page. So please go check out the Kickstarter. And one more thing, we are doing a live launch party. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. This already happened. So forget that part, guys. Just come check out the campaign.
All right. Well, again, I want to thank Dan Price, the creator, co-writer, and artist behind the comic series Bigfoot Knows Karate, for joining us here today to promote the Hinagon one shot, along with chapters 1 and 2, launching on Kickstarter September 20th. All of Dan's socials and website, as he just said, will be listed in this episode's details, alongside the Kickstarter link for those who are interested. Again, I'm KS Garner, and you've been listening to the Solo Nerd Podcast. Thank you.